In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan sits down with Amjad Masad, a tech entrepreneur and programmer, to discuss a wide range of topics spanning gaming, technology, politics, and personal development. The conversation opens with a reflection on the world of competitive gaming, particularly the Counter-Strike tournament happening in town. Masad shares his background as a former pro gamer, revealing how deeply immersive and time-consuming professional gaming can be, often requiring 8 hours a day of intense focus. Joe and Masad explore the common perception of gaming as a negative influence, especially on children, but Masad offers a different perspective, emphasizing the cognitive benefits such as improved strategic thinking and reaction times. They delve into scientific studies that show surgeons who regularly play video games tend to make fewer mistakes and complete tasks faster, highlighting the practical advantages of gaming beyond entertainment. This leads to a broader discussion about how gaming skills are being recognized in unexpected fields, such as the military recruiting gamers for drone piloting, where familiarity with controllers and quick reflexes are invaluable. Despite the benefits, both acknowledge the addictive nature of gaming and the challenges of balancing it with other life commitments. The conversation shifts to the modern phenomenon of game streaming, where instead of playing games themselves, many young people spend hours watching others play. Joe and Masad express concern over this trend, likening it to a zombifying experience similar to mindless TikTok scrolling. They discuss how this passive consumption of content activates voyeuristic tendencies and creates a dull, attention-draining experience that neither stimulates nor inspires viewers to engage actively with the world. Masad references the late David Foster Wallace's insights on television and technology's impact on human nature, emphasizing how these platforms exploit our innate voyeurism and contribute to addictive behaviors. The duo contrasts this with immersive experiences like the Avatar VR ride at Disney World, which fully engage the senses and mind, underscoring the difference between meaningful stimulation and passive consumption. They also touch on the broader societal implications of this shift, pondering whether such digital habits might be more detrimental than traditional addictions. Joe and Masad candidly discuss their personal experiences with alcohol and substance use, noting a growing trend among younger generations, especially in tech hubs like Silicon Valley, towards sobriety and health consciousness. Masad shares his recent decision to quit drinking, motivated by the negative impact alcohol had on his physical fitness and overall well-being. He highlights how sobriety has eliminated hangovers and improved his gym performance, reinforcing the idea that lifestyle choices significantly affect cognitive and physical function. The conversation broadens to include the cultural shift toward wellness practices such as cold plunges, saunas, and intermittent fasting, which many young people are adopting to optimize their health. Joe and Masad reflect on the mental toughness required to maintain such routines, particularly the discipline needed to overcome internal resistance, like the reluctance to enter a cold plunge. They also touch on the biological variability in how individuals respond to substances like alcohol and marijuana, emphasizing that personal experience and genetics play a crucial role in these effects. Masad recounts his early introduction to programming, which began at the age of 6 with an MS-DOS computer in Jordan. He describes how his father, a civil engineer with a passion for technology, introduced him to the world of coding and command-line interfaces. This early exposure sparked a lifelong fascination with computers and software development. Masad also shares how gaming initially drew him in, but soon evolved into an interest in modding games like Counter-Strike, which allowed him to combine creativity with technical skills. This segue into programming highlights the role of gaming as a gateway to software development, a theme Masad is passionate about. He explains how modding and coding foster a profound sense of creation and problem-solving, which has shaped his career and mission. Today, through his company Replet, Masad aims to democratize programming by enabling anyone to build software using AI-powered tools that translate natural language prompts into code, lowering the barriers to entry for aspiring developers. A significant portion of the discussion centers on Masad's Palestinian heritage and the complex political realities surrounding Israel and Palestine. He shares his family's history as refugees expelled during the 1948 Nakba, explaining how his father was born in Syria after their displacement from Haifa. Masad provides a personal perspective on the ongoing conflict, emphasizing the human cost and the difficulty of discussing these issues openly due to accusations of anti-Semitism when criticizing Israeli policies. Masad advocates for a two-state solution as the most viable path to peace, stressing the importance of acknowledging historical truths and the suffering on both sides. He reflects on the challenges of free speech in the tech industry and broader society, noting how platforms have fluctuated between censorship and openness. The conversation touches on the role of social media in shaping narratives and the need for honest dialogue to foster understanding and reconciliation. The episode delves into the evolving landscape of free speech, particularly in the context of social media platforms like Twitter, now X. Masad credits Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter with revitalizing free speech, allowing for more open discussions on controversial topics, including the Israel-Palestine conflict. They discuss the tension between combating misinformation and preserving open discourse, highlighting how censorship often backfires by driving conversations underground. Masad critiques the managerialism and centralized control prevalent in both government and corporate structures, drawing parallels to historical political systems like fascism and communism. He argues for a more decentralized and transparent approach to governance and information dissemination. The conversation also touches on the prevalence of bots and fake accounts on social media, which distort public opinion and contribute to polarization, making authentic dialogue increasingly difficult. Masad shares his optimistic vision for AI's role in transforming programming and entrepreneurship. He explains how Replete leverages AI to automate coding, enabling people without formal training to create software by simply describing their ideas in natural language. This democratization of programming, he argues, will empower more individuals to innovate and build businesses, fostering economic dynamism and reducing barriers to entry. They discuss the broader implications of AI on the workforce, acknowledging fears of job displacement, but emphasizing the potential for reskilling and creative empowerment. Masad highlights partnerships with governments, such as Saudi Arabia, aiming to equip entire populations with AI-driven programming skills. He envisions a future where AI augments human creativity rather than replacing it, enabling a new wave of entrepreneurship and problem-solving. The conversation turns philosophical as Joe and Masad explore the nature of consciousness and creativity in relation to AI. Masad references Roger Penrose's arguments about the unique qualities of human consciousness that machines cannot replicate, particularly the ability to grasp truths that are unprovable within formal systems. They discuss the hard problem of consciousness and the limitations of current AI models, which excel at remixing existing data but lack genuine creativity or paradigm-shifting insight. Masad expresses skepticism about AI achieving true general intelligence or consciousness anytime soon, emphasizing that current models are statistical machines without self-awareness. They touch on theories like Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance, which propose a universal consciousness influencing natural systems, though these ideas remain outside mainstream science. The discussion highlights the enduring mystery of human cognition and the challenges of replicating it artificially. Joe and Masad discuss the evolving understanding of psychedelics and their therapeutic potential, particularly for conditions like PTSD and depression. They highlight recent legislative changes, such as in Texas, where psychedelics like ibogaine are being explored as treatments for veterans suffering from trauma. Masad praises the work of organizations like MAPS in advancing research on MDMA-assisted therapy. They also address the cultural stigma and legal challenges surrounding psychedelics, noting the distinction between these substances and other drugs in terms of addiction potential and spiritual significance. Both caution against spiritual narcissism among some users, but acknowledge the profound personal growth and healing that psychedelics can facilitate when used responsibly in therapeutic contexts. The episode tackles the troubling issues of misinformation, scientific fraud, and institutional corruption. Masad recounts recent scandals in Alzheimer's research involving fabricated data that undermine decades of work. They discuss how financial incentives and ego can corrupt scientific integrity, leading to widespread public mistrust. The conversation also covers the politicization of topics like the COVID-19 lab leak theory and vaccine safety, with Masad criticizing the suppression of dissenting voices and the role of corporate and governmental interests in shaping narratives. They emphasize the need for transparency, accountability, and open debate to restore trust in science and public health. Throughout the episode, Masad and Joe reflect on the importance of discipline, mental toughness, and physical fitness in their lives. Masad shares his experiences with various health practices, including cold plunges, intermittent fasting, and powerlifting, underscoring how these routines build resilience and improve cognitive function. They discuss the psychological challenges of maintaining such habits, particularly overcoming internal resistance and self-doubt. Masad also recounts his journey with back pain and how a combination of strength training, cognitive behavioral therapy, and mindset shifts helped him recover. They explore the interplay between physical and mental health, emphasizing that managing emotions and self-talk is a critical form of intelligence.